Welcome all to this. Welcome to the meeting of the Planning Committee on this day, Tuesday, the 13th of December. Welcome councillors, to Kath and to the member of the press. Thank you for coming in person. Okay, let's start with the and members of the in the public gallery. Welcome. Thank you again for coming on this cold winter's night. Let's start with the first item on the agenda, which is apologies for absence.
We have apologies from Councillors Crook and Councillor Arlett.
Thank you. Item number 2, declarations of interest. Do we have any this evening? No, I see none. Thank you. And item 3, which is to approve the minutes of the last planning committee meeting held on the 22nd of November. Thank you, Councillor Barishak, seconded by Councillor Bowmans. All in favour? Thank you, that's carried. Item number 4, public participation. Do we have anyone in the gallery who'd like to speak to us this evening? Yes. If you'd like to please stand and just state your name and which application you're speaking to.
Okay.
Thank you.
My name is Alan Macmillan from C7 Architects. The application I'm addressing this evening is B22 S2708 Pool, which is the 19 to 21 Bell Street in the town centre in Thames. Chairman and members of the committee, we are the agents acting on behalf of our clients in relation to the planning application for the improvements and change of use of the upper floors and the rear of the ground floor to residential accommodation at 19 to 21 Bell Street in Henley-on-Thames. We are aware this committee raised initial concerns regarding the proposal in August and then again subsequently in November. And we would like to take this opportunity to make you aware of the changes that have been made to the application, along with some additional comments which we hope will allow you to reconsider the concerns with the planning application. The building is currently vacant above the ground floor and has consequently fallen into a state of disrepair. The proposal will include the repair and maintenance of the current Bell Street facade to ensure the building is brought back to full use. This will also allow this attractive building to be enjoyed by both residents of the building as well as the general public of Henley-on-Thames. Aside from some modest changes to the rear courtyard to include a fenced-off bin store and cycle parking, we've also introduced a new stairway to the first floor, a proposed improvement to the hand railing, and general continuity to the fenestration and doors of the rear of the building. In addition, the roof will be fully repaired and the rear will be either repainted or repointed, and this will also improve the amenities of the rear of the site and bring it into active use. The committee previously raised concerns regarding the proposed increase to parking and pressure on the town centre, and this from the proposed flats. We have worked with the council officers to ensure that the proposed apartments meet planning policy on both parking and cycle requirements in a town centre setting. Council officers have also carried out recent visits into the local town centre car parks at various times of the day and confirmed that there is sufficient overflow parking should it be required. Regarding the neighbouring amenity, we have removed the terraces at both first and second floor to ensure there was no risk of overlooking of any of the neighbouring properties. It has been agreed by the council case officer to provide the requisite amenity for both the development and its neighbours, and the amended scheme is acceptable in this regard. In relation to the storage space for the ground floor shop, we have worked proactively with the current tenant to develop the proposal. Paperchase have confirmed to the planning department that the store, as proposed, will provide more than adequate storage, and that the new store layout and supporting facilities will improve their use of the building. We believe this to be a positive position for the town centre in what is a difficult time in high street retail, by securing the retention of a recognised high street brand who have committed to remaining in the town centre of Henley-on-Thames in the store. In all of the above matters, we have followed both national and local guidelines. We are now anticipating that we will receive planning officer's recommendation to approve this application, which is similar to the previously approved conversion of the residential use under planning application P16 S33494. We trust this evening we have been able to demonstrate to the committee that the application will enhance the vitality and viability of the Henley on Thames Town Centre, and we hope that this will allow you to give the scheme your support going forward. Thank you for the opportunity to speak on behalf of our application.
Many thanks. Councillors, do you have any questions? Yes, Councillor Buckley, this is.
It's good to actually hear somebody come in and ask, and well, not to defend, but to put the part position. Are you saying then that it was flats above that originally, and the plan commission's essentially just to replace and renovate the flat, or they are already?
There was
Version of flats.
no, there was permission for it to be converted to 3 larger apartments. That was approved in 2016.
Yeah.
We're looking to increase the number of units, but to bring it back to residential use as was intended with the original plan.
And it's, sorry, with the developers, so, I was going to say a few words, but it may not be necessary. We're prepared to increase the number of units, but it's exactly the same space. The reason it didn't happen last time was that the predecessors couldn't make the large flats work because they were too big for the way they were. So we've looked at it and we've come up with a plan where there are smaller flats which are where the demand is.
Because I think the main thing that we had originally was that the conversion, obviously, we came to hand self at the time we came to handy. We moved into a flat that was a book shop because that was the best place to get to. So I appreciate what you kind of bring in. I think the key thing is, from our perspective, are we allowing more and more offices to return to flats? This is the plan which you've already given. I think the key thing for me is in terms of what you're delivering, what you're building out, it's mainly keeping within the existing guidelines. There's a little bit of space for option in store. And overall, the main thing is the parking, but parking's the big thing with the parking is going to be on Saturdays and Sundays, because everybody works. And the other part of that is that people are working from home, they haven't got the ability to go and park somewhere else. So again, speaking of comparison, sort of experience here. So it's just trying to find that balance between what parking, from your side, you're saying that there's you can plan the parking plan, but parking sort of changes a little bit. But I think I'm going through over there.
If I can just say on the parking issue, the officers from South Oxfordshire have been to the town centre on numerous different occasions, so they have seen it at different times, both in evenings, during the day, and at weekends, to assist whether or not there is an overflow.
Yeah, I think there's a difference between FLDC coming down and looking.
I understand.
And a resident here at the same time.
I do understand.
Yeah.
Councillor Gavshak, Mrs.
Councillor Buckley has sort of touched on. I think there were 3 things that concern us. Firstly, the loss of storage for a retail unit. And okay, Paperchase might be happy, but if you go for another retailer that requires storage above, then it will include them going into it. The second bit was, this is not on the agenda, of course, but how many units are you proposing?
5.
5. So there are 5 units, which on the one hand
It's 6 in total.
it is a bonus in terms of small units, etc. So it was the storage, it was how many units, but it was also 6 units, it was the parking. But it does actually, I mean, where are the 6 units people going to park?
It's a question.
It's a question, yeah. And from my point of view, it's irrelevant what SABC say in planning terms. It's the pressure on the town of where they're going to park.
Sorry.
No.
I was going to say we were doing.
Genuine question.
No, it's a valid question. But just if I could just clear up the question on the store, because I think there may be a misunderstanding. There's no storage Paperchase at the upper level. They have the ground floor demise of the whole of the ground floor, and the 6th flat is the very rear, which they don't use. And I don't know whether you've seen, I actually brought a copy with me if you'd like to see it. The Paperchase would fully support that, because they don't use the space, and actually one of the things that most retailers want to do is to contain the amount of rent they have to pay, the space they need. Paperchase, as you may know, were in trouble, they were in administration, they've now been bought out by a very successful retail entrepreneur who wants to take the business from 100 units to 150, and they're very supportive of that because it means there'll be a negotiation, I'm sure, after the rent, but they won't have to pay rent for the rear space. So that's just a win-win for them. There's no storage at upper level that we're taking.
But the flat on the ground floor is potentially lots of storage.
It's not a storage of Paperchase for any retailer because it's the very rear.
Yeah.
But I'm sure you're familiar with those units. They're incredibly deep units, and it's very unusual for anybody to want that full depth of retail, because from a retail perspective, all of their sales normally take place in the zone A at the front, and they just don't want it. It's a problem. It's been a non-point for Paperchase, and they wrote to us. I don't know whether you had to, because Oxfordshire Council would see the letter, but they wrote to us saying that they're very supportive of that and they'd like to work with us. And actually, since then, the business has taken over, and is now it's on very good financial ground. So I think that's genuinely a win-win for them, because for them and for us too, if they wanted that place, it wouldn't be worth our while taking the space away from them, because our big key here is to make sure that we have a retailer that.
And the parking aspect?
The parking, the reason the big flats didn't work is those big flats need parking. The small flats don't, because the likelihood is these are all one-bedroom flats, and the likelihood is they'll be offered in the rental market. We may sell them, but most of the people who are likely to occupy them won't want car parking. And that's the advice we've had from Savills, from Simmons & Simmons, who are opposite. And that's why we designed it to have smaller units. Now, I can't sit here and say no one will ever want to have a car, but we are living in a world now where this is right bang slap in the centre of town. Excuse me. It's a 6-7 minute walk to Henley Town Station, to the Henley Railway Station. The likelihood is there certainly won't be 6 flats, I wouldn't imagine, that would all want a car park space. We don't see that as useful at all. And I don't think South Oxfordshire either, because they've done their own analysis. And all I was going to say in terms of the other aspects, and we've done quite a lot of work over the years with a lot of very precious buildings, and I quite like to leave a legacy on the high street. Ruthie and I were there this evening because we got here a bit early, and it's actually criminal what that building looks like. It's a grade 2 listed building in the middle of the town centre. We've had to lock it up because it's got vagrants in there. Well, it hasn't now, but it did have. It has a lot of antisocial behaviour upstairs, and it's vacant and has been. I actually brought it with me. There's a newspaper from 2004 with on the floor. It's not been touched for 20 years, and it's actually very sad in my mind. And what we plan to do is to bring that back into good health and look after the building. And I think that the shops trade well. It's a great high street, and I think the upper parts there need to be looked after properly. We're not taking away another use at the moment. It's just there. So that's really most of the things Alan has said. I would concur with them, and from a policy perspective, it complies. It's just from our perspective, we want to bring this building back to use and try and improve the town centre.
One more.
Yes, one more.
Sorry, I apologise. That will be a very quick one. So the Paperchase shop is there, and there is this thing at the back on the ground floor we're talking about. Yeah. Where would or do Paperchase store their stuff? The waste stuff? Because I drove past Paperchase on Sunday, and I actually photographed the building with just their surplus rubbish on the pavement.
Can I answer?
Yeah.
We've we've been in dialogue with environmental health as well. We are creating an enclosed bin storage facility that will include storage that's for both residential and commercial waste. We've also given them a new point of entry to the rear of the store, which is immediately adjacent to the bin storage. So there's no journey for them to have to travel long distance to get rid of their waste. We've also created new facilities within the store for them, which include toilets, a kitchenette, as well as segregation for the storage at the rear of the store. That has all been quite clearly delineated in the plans. And they do the amount of storage that's been provided, as well as the amount of waste that's been provided, does meet policy.
But irrespective of that, two things I'd like to say to your point. It's outrageous if they're putting rubbish in the street, and they shouldn't, and now that I know that, I'll make sure they don't do it anymore. But there's nothing that we're doing that would constrain their space to put their rubbish. Because at the moment they have if you imagine there, I don't know if you've been into Playfair, but if you go in where the public can go is probably 2/3 of the deck. Then there's a storage area behind that, another 1/6. And the 1/6 behind that is where we're proposing to put a flat, which is not used. So they've got tons and tons and tons of space. The idea they might be putting their rubbish in the street is horrendous. And I'll speak to them about that if that's a problem. But that's got nothing to do with what we're doing. That's just bad retail management.
Any other questions from councillors? Okay, I've just got one point to make. I'm sorry I wasn't actually at the last planning meeting, because I'm currently Mayor of Henley and I was probably on an appointment. So you mentioned overflow parking. What do you mean by overflow parking?
Possibly the wrong use of a word. It was more to do with the fact that the officers have come to the town centre at different times to assess how much surplus parking is available in the parking areas in and around the building, to assess whether or not there's an ability for someone to park a car there at different times of the day, in the evening and over the weekends.
Because the only parking that is there is a car park, which is on a time ticket.
Yeah.
So I don't understand what you mean by that.
We've asked them to give us their guidance on the parking issue. We've provided a policy compliance scheme, and they've assessed parking within the vicinity of the building, and in their opinion, the parking is adequate.
Yeah.
So
That sounds into car park. Every time we've been here, we've managed to park there without difficulty, but in the evenings, you can park there freely.
Yeah.
I think it's.
Yeah, it's the daytime. It's a problem.
No,
Yeah. I did look, there is still a neighbour that is concerned about light. They think that some of the upper parts of that development will take their light away, and they're actually asking for a light study. So I don't know if you're aware of that. I don't know how, it looks like it's quite a recent submission.
There's no use space there.
that's difficult to understand because there's no external work being done to the building. We're not adding any additional roof line or any additional extension to the building. We're only inhabiting the existing building as it stands.
Not putting anything extra on the top of it at all.
No, there was a suggestion earlier on to have a small enclosed courtyard garden for the upper apartments in the rear, but that's been
Right.
removed from the plans, so the amended plans take
Okay.
account of that.
It's all absolutely reversed. I know there's some repairs, but nothing.
All right, thank you. Okay, let's move on, councillors. Councillor Hilly, okay?
Yeah, I was
Yes.
just going to say, I haven't got a question, but I think it's a very good application, actually. And I think it's quite good, actually, that it is restricted for storage for a retail, because it stops hospitality going in, because you need so much storage, and we've had a loss of retail. So it's refreshing to be able to retain retail in the town. And parking, we can't do a lot about, because SODC will always say, you know, you've got the town centre there is parking, and we've had that with flats on Friday Street as well. So, you know, that wouldn't change.
We know what SODC will say. They will always say it's a sustainable location because it's a train station, there's a bus, they don't need a car, but we always get the cars, always, every single time. Okay, let's move on, councillors. Let's go on to item number, thank you for your contributions. Item number 5, which is plans amended on page 9. Okay, we've got the first one, which is P21 S4271. And this is reserved matters. Do we have any councillors who'd like to say anything? Yes, councillor Gavashak.
I'd just like to propose acceptance and, we supported this in the past. And it's in Oxford neighbourhood plan, so therefore I propose approval.
Would that second councillor Plant? Councillor Buckley, did you want to say something? Councillor Gavashak, and then says a holding objection from the landscape officer.
Well, subject to that.
Subject to that.
Subject.
You happy
to
with that?
Yeah.
Councillor Plant?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, would any other councillor like to speak? Okay, all those in favour of approval subject to the landscape officer's demands? Okay, thank you. That's carried, thank you. And next is P2022 S1690. It's a full application for the Mount 21 Rotherfield Road. Councillor Gavashak.
I propose we reiterate the refusal that we set for this development, and it's backland, it's infill. In particular, backland development, so nothing has changed, It's still, it's still substantially what the planning was that we looked at last time.
Okay,
So, reiterate, please.
thank you. Is that seconded? Councillor Hillier, thank you. Would any other councillor like to speak? Okay, all those in favour of refusal on the same planning grounds? Thank you, that's unanimous.
Sorry.
You can't actually interrupt during this time. Is it important?
Well, I don't know what the process is. Do we say?
You know, you.
Your seat for the remainder.
Unless you want to hear our deliberations on your application, you're very welcome
It's
to
not,
leave.
it's not.
It's tonight. Councillors, it's on the agenda
Or is it on as a
at the
separate?
very end. Yeah, item 12. Do you want to hear our deliberations? Okay. What we might do is we might bump it up the agenda for you. Okay. Right, so let's, would you like to hear this? Would you like to decide this one now? Councillors? To release these gentlemen, get back in the awful weather. The ice may be coming down as we speak. Right, so okay, so let's have a quick vote then to move item 12 up the agenda. All those in favour? Thank you. That's carried. Okay, so please turn to page. Oh, what page is it? 3. Oh, it's just there. It's just there.
It was just there, yes, because I knew the applicant was going to
Yeah,
come and speak to it.
Okay. Okay, do we have,
Where?
it's on page 3.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm looking at 27.
I did send around some information,
Yes.
background emails this morning.
yeah, that's all that. Okay, would any councillor like to go first? Yes, councillor Plant?
I mean, the part, I appreciate everything you said about the parking. It's a real pain. Everyone in Henley always has cars with that, but there's nothing we can do about it. I'll go for approval.
Okay, is that seconded? Councillor Buckley? Yeah, would any other councillor like to speak? Yes, councillor Gavashak?
I will abstain on this particular one, and I'll explain why in a moment after you deliberated.
Okay, would any other councillor like to speak before we go for the vote?
So all I just add is that, I work in retail and IT sector, so I know what the space, and I'm less concerned about the space. If you look at the plan permission was originally granted, we're going to go down to 1-bed flats. I'm sort of with you in that you're not going to get couples with, it's a different set of people that move in. So the whole thing of having space for people to build the cars, I think I'm less concerned with that. Unfortunately, other people have to move there, but at the end of the day, you've got to do what you do, and it's probably better to have the place built up and occupied and looking better than it is to have it empty.
How many cars do you have in your house?
So one thing.
Oh, it's all going up now. Okay. Would any other councillor like to speak? No, okay, all those in favour of approval? And one abstention. Okay, that's carried, thank
I'll
you.
just explain my application. This is obviously subject to Ken's calling, and that calling has gone to SADC.
Yeah, that's up to councillor Orla. Yes, Kath.
It
Kath.
was the committee that wanted it to be called in
Mm,
at the previous
Yeah.
planning committee.
okay.
So all I'm saying is we would have to ask Ken whether he will withdraw his
We
calling.
would.
And the reason why I'm saying is because if he doesn't withdraw his calling, I would have to represent him as
Yeah.
the SADC
Yeah.
planning. That's all.
Last time something like this happened, councillor Orla refused to, and he took it all the way. So we'll see what his decision is. Okay, thank you.
Good luck with that.
Yeah.
It's far humbug.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, let's go back to the main agenda, which is item 6, plans new. Please turn to page 11. Okay, I'm going to take the first two together. So that's P22 S4037 householder, 49 Friday Street, together with P22 S4038, which is listed building consents. Yes, councillor Plants.
Approval subject to conservation officer.
Is that seconded?
Yes, I also wanted to just query Henley Society, if I may. They said about preferring the timber doors, but it said on the application timber doors that they are going to be, because I looked at what there was existing and what proposed. So I just wanted to query that with you, what you thought it was going to be.
That's a comment made by our listed building expert. She
Yeah.
actually handled that one, so I can't.
Ah.
I would. need
But
to-
it does say timber doors on the
It does,
proposed,
does it?
yeah, so I'm happy with that too, yeah.
Would any other councillor like to speak? Okay, all those in favour, subject to the conservation officer. Thank you, that's carried.
I think from my understanding, it's one of those they have to basically to get planning. You
Yes.
can't replace it otherwise. So it's one of those, and it's where we always put a caveat of subject to conservation because they make sure that it's either
They always
heritage
ensure,
style
yeah.
or in the same keeping. So
Okay, so the next two together again, P22 S4112 householder for 50 and 52 Groves Hill, and P22 S4113 listed builder consent for 50, 52 Groves Hill. Yes, councillor Hillier.
Yeah, I'd approve this. I think it's nice to see the neighbours working together, but I share the concern over the pre-application advice regarding the wider dormer window. And they were saying that will be out of character and not acceptable. So I do think we should say in principle, you know, yes, that's fine, but we're not happy with the dormer window.
Okay,
Can we approve it? Do you have to reject it?
Yeah, it's difficult because normally you've got to reject it all because of that, you see, but it is replacing a dormer window. There was one there, but they're making it wider, which is unacceptable. But I think listed building will pick that up because they've already had that.
Kath, do you have any advice for us? You've been on planning for many more years than us.
Well, I think Lorraine probably got.
But yeah, I mean, the only thing we can do is
I don't know,
refuse
don't
them,
you?
actually.
That's the safest thing. to
Yeah,
do.
and then they can come back to us and say, the conservation officer might say, well, we've had a word and they're going to keep the same size.
Okay,
And then we'd say that, yes, we're happy with it. Because nothing else we're objecting to, are we?
So is that?
okay, we haven't voted on this yet, and we haven't had a seconder anyway, so should we just say that that's
Sorry.
fallen? So let's just take, would you like to repropose that, councillor Hillier?
Yeah, I propose refusal due to the comments made about the wider dormer window at the rear being out of character and not acceptable. But otherwise, everything else is acceptable. And, you know, and it's got support from another neighbour as well. So it's nice to see them working
Yeah,
together,
it's very
And,
nice.
you know, and we like that. It's just that dormer window.
Okay, is that seconded? Councillor Romans, thank you. Would any other councillor like to speak?
Quite likes the Don one.
Okay, all those in favour of refusal? Thank you. That's carried. And the next one is P22 S4131. It's a household application for Friar Park. Who would like to go for this one? Who hasn't spoken yet? Who hasn't proposed yet? Councillor Romans.
Thank you very much. Yeah, whatever. Keep your thoughts. I propose acceptance.
Okay, is that seconded? Yes, councillor Plant, thank you. Would any other councillor like to speak?
This is where Donna normally asks for a site visit.
Yeah,
Authorizing somebody to build a gym, and you could actually bring them downstairs.
They've got lots of space.
councillor Hilly, you'd like to speak?
Now I'm going to say the garden trust is sitting on the bench there, isn't it, with their.
Point,
What was the
saying,
point of it?
thank you, we're considering this, but we don't have any comment at this time. Why can't they comment at this
Are
time?
they going to say something in a year's time when it's too late?
Bizarre.
But I think it's not a problem anyway.
Yeah,
I'm happy.
okay. Would any other councillor like to speak? Okay, all those in favour of approval? Thank you, that's carried. The next is P22 S4133. It's a household application for 71 Gainsborough Crescent. Councillor Plant,
Yes, but ancillary to the house, I want it to move past the house.
okay, you seconded
I'll
or?
Yeah, can I ask, this is actually a big running annex, it's 2 bedrooms out back.
It's big, yeah, it's bigger than the main house.
Can we stipulate no Airbnb?
Isn't that all part of ancillary to the house?
Well, ancillary to the house means that it can't be sold separately, but
No,
they can still Airbnb it.
no, you can't stop that.
I don't think you can stop.
No.
Right all over the country, this.
I mean, this is like a 2-bedroom bathroom, kitchen.
Where's
Big, bigger than the
Where
house.
do you want to be in 20 years' time? You don't want to be in a single bed, like tiny one without a bathroom or something. You've got to be somewhere, you know. Yeah.
But
Well,
think this way, there's not going to be a granny in it, put it that way.
This is only a hard standing caravan.
Yeah,
The garden's big enough, so yeah,
Yeah,
okay. Yes.
okay, so you're seconding.
Any other?
Yeah.
Okay.
Nothing from any of the residents or any of the neighbours, so.
Yeah. Would any other councillor like to speak? No, okay, all those in favour of approval subject to being ancillary to the main house?
Reluctantly.
Yeah, okay, thank you, that's approved. Okay, the next one, I'll take the next two together, actually. Which is P22 S4159. It's a household application for 7 Flat 3 River Terrace, and P22 S4160 listed building consent for 7 Flat 3 River Terrace. Councillor Hillier?
yeah, I propose no objection subject to list of building, conservation officer. There are a few of these on there, and so I don't see the problem with it.
Do they have the front windows on them?
Yeah, they've converted well, they put the roof lights in as that.
At the front?
Yeah, they've done it at 1 and 2, yeah,
Okay.
and so it's.
Yeah, put it right now.
Yeah.
The lights on up.
Mm.
Councillor,
I
are
think
you
you've covered
seconding?
it. I'll second,
Yeah.
yeah. I think you've covered it, subject to the conservation officer.
Yeah.
And they will insist that it's dormer window, it's not. Sorry.
It's roof lights,
Balcony window.
that's it, yeah,
So they should be
they just as long as it's.
conservation, right?
That's
Yeah.
it, yeah.
Would any other councillor like to speak? Okay, all those in favour of approval subject to the conservation officer? Thank you, that's approved. Lots of listed buildings tonight. Okay, the next one is P22 S4166. It's a householder application for Flint Walls, Rupert Lane. Any councillors would like to speak to this? Yes, councillor Gavashak?
I'll propose acceptance of this. I think it's fine. Thank you.
Okay, seconded by councillor Romans. Would any other councillor like to speak? Okay, all those in favour of approval? Thank you, that's carried. Next one is P 22 S4167 household application for 45 Park Road. Councillor Plant,
Approval.
seconded,
Yeah.
Councillor Hillier, thank you. Would any other councillor like to speak? Okay, all those in favour of approval? Thank you, that's carried. P 22 S4290 is a household application for 25 Adding Court. Councillor Hillier?
Yeah, approval. I do understand the comments by Henley Society, who could set a precedent, but I have no objection.
Okay, thank you. Is that seconded? Councillor Gerishak, would any other councillor like to speak? Councillor Buckley?
Just like to understand, I mean, Alan Port's sort of set up as residential, it looks to be quite restricted on what you can do, right? Are there any constraints or anything internally from the building that says you can and can't do this?
Isn't, yes, sir, go ahead.
Well, the building control or structural engineers will.
So that's more with that kind of, you know, but it's more about, has there been any sort of like, anything put on the property saying you cannot. I'm assuming that's gonna
Not that we're aware of, no.
Okay.
It's all retirement living, isn't it? And you have to be over 65 by now.
Don't know. I don't know. I thought they
Court.
had the younger
I don't think
people.
so. Don't think there's an age limit or restriction, is there?
No, it's not.
But if there were.
Have you actually, if anyone, just out of interest, if any of you actually looked at how many Airbnbs there are in Henley?
What is,
Really shocking.
because we've got no hotels.
But there's an outside, if you walk down.
It's a need.
But it's not just rooms, it's like whole dwellings.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is what happens with that.
Anyway, yeah, sorry, we shouldn't not talk about that. Well, we're going off agenda here. Kathy's looking at me, very disapprovingly.
We've got an Airbnb shop in the centre,
Yacht?
an Airbnb shop. If you look and you walk down beside Yonkers, there's that one little
Oh,
thing.
is that what it
that's turned
is?
into, like, these are all places you can go and rent.
Oh, I didn't realise that.
Yeah, you see them walking in with laundry, they coordinate, they let from there. Yeah, that's the place. Investment. Forward investment, cheap money.
Oh, gosh, right, okay. Right, so we've got approval, it's been seconded, but any other councillor like to speak? No, all those in favour? Thank you, that's carried. And we've got P 22 S4292, it's a full application for the River and Row Museum on Mill Meadows. Councillor Romans?
Propose approval.
Okay, is that seconded? Councillor Plant, thank you. Would any other councillor like to speak? Okay, all those in favour? Thank you, that's carried. Okay, so let's go to item 7, objections calling applications. Are we going to try and do a reversal with councillor Arlett?
I wouldn't even try.
No?
Let's let them go. Tell them all behind. I was going to nominate Mount, this P 22 S1690, the one on Romfield Road.
Is that one not already called in?
Let's do Velton braces on it. I think we did call it in.
Yeah.
But,
Call it in again.
Yeah.
Kath, can you remind me?
It is already clear. Back in May.
Don't pretend with him, just.
Good comment, councillor Reynolds.
I can't imagine if we could message him, and pick it up at 2 o'clock in the morning on the trailer, and have a hit of it. Let's bombard him then. What do you think about Mount?
We could have a cocktail store with him.
Right, let's go on to item 8, which is decision notices. To note those, please. Yep. And to note the withdrawn planning applications on item 9. Yeah. Oh, God, I'm getting lost in my own agenda here. Okay, and number 10, which is certificate of lawful development applications. Any comments? No? Okay, thank you. And Item 11, prior consultation on telecom space station upgrade, page 15.
Oh, why is 71 Gainsborough building an annex and also putting a mobile home in there? Councillor?
That's the annex.
The mobile home counters, yeah. It's not very mobile.
Right, so are you on the correct page, councillors? What do we think for this application? Yes, Kath would like to
So
speak.
it has come through as an application to SODC, but we haven't been consulted as town council. It's just that the telecoms company wrote to Sheridan about it as part of their consultation process. So that's why it's on the agenda. We haven't been consulted on it by SODC.
Okay. So therefore, we can make a comment, or we just have to note it?
Well, we can go back, I think we could go back to the telecoms company and we could send a copy of that to SODC as well, just to let them know.
Okay. Councillor Gavashak.
Well, this is an installation actually on the fire thing.
It's a great idea.
So it's a good use.
Yeah.
So as long as the fire people can still.
There's already antennae on there.
Yeah. So it saves them having to build something brand new in the middle of anywhere and having to get planning permission, then everyone goes into a new mobile phone after that. Just seems probably about to it.
So if councillors have got no concerns, then we don't really need to write to them, do we? We just need to then just note it. Yeah, okay, thank you. Thanks to the town clerk for bringing it to our attention. Right, the next one is. Right, we've done number 12. So the next one is 13, speed indicator devices. Would you like to speak to this, councillor Gavashak?
Please, if I could.
Yeah.
Keep it speedy.
Oh, you'll get starting to get like councillor Eggleton. Dear, oh dear.
I will try. Well, as you know, we still have an issue with speeding in the town, and Nick and I, and thanks to Nick, he's done a lot of research on this. Nick and I have been working to actually get to vehicle activated speed thingies coming in. The proposal is that and actually I think it's serious good value, and Nick has done very well on this. It's £5,452 for 5 solar panels and installation kits and 2 of these signs. And the idea is that these signs will move to different locations, and the locations are Fairmile, in and out, Reading Road, Hartston Road, Kings Road, and also a site on Gravel Hill, if we can find a site on Gravel Hill. Why have we gone for this particular one? These ones, according to OCC, have to be moved. So they will be strapped on the unit for a month, and then they will be taken down and moved to somewhere else for a month, and then somewhere else for a month. So they'll be moved around the town, which I think is a good idea. The ones that are permanent are the boring ones. They just say, they remind motorists it's 30 miles an hour, and that's it. So they're travelling at 40 and it says 30, like the one going out of Whitehall. These actually are saying, thank you for complying. Or
All sad face.
yeah, and you will see these at Crystal's Common and also Shillingford. You will see them there. They can be converted to 20 mile an hour when we get that far, and I think they are really good ones. Kath assures me we've got the money in still. So therefore, the recommendation is that this committee approve the allocation of up to 5,500 for the purchase of 2 seats and associated solar and mounting equipment. This can be taken from SIL funds set aside from the planning committee to allocate the transport project. So it's a good idea. By the way, part of this report is I've spent £400 of my council grant on speed guns. And one of them has gone to a Fair Mile speed group and to Neil Gunner on the St Andrews Road speed group, so that they permanently have now guns to actually set up their things. So I would ask you to approve, please.
Okay, councillor Barnes, who's seconding?
Yeah, I think they're brilliant ones. I think we've all been either in a car or behind a car when these are going off, and they really are pretty effective at slowing you down. You don't want to be that person with a red lip and anger and the person behind you calling all sorts of four letter words. I think they're a very good idea.
Yeah,
Cecilia?
I agree. I think it's very good, and it'll help reinforce the 20 mile as well on the Reading Road, because I think a lot of people don't realise that is 20, and so it would help.
Have we gone for 20?
Yeah, it's
No.
we've got 20
About
by
80 roads.
the Italian.
Yeah, there's a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit.
We are in the list with OCC for 20 for the whole of town, but there is a backlog of about 6 or 7 months, so we'll just.
They can now be enforced by the police.
This week it went to 10 and you just dig a hole up on Duke. And it's less than 10 town wide. So that would be
But nobody switched the engine off.
yeah.
So,
Right, councillors, after that little discussion. Sorry, I nearly fell asleep.
oh, by the way,
Stefan has that
the locations have been approved by John Beale of OCC. So it's cool.
Okay, so I think we're in agreement then, but let's take a vote on it. All those in favour? Okay, that's unanimous, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Thank you. It would.
Okay, let's move on to item 14, which is progress reports on applications called in. Any news? The report that you know of? Yes.
I can't remember what Stefan was going to speak on at SODC, but I'm not sure they're on this list.
There's
I am tomorrow speaking
Gillets.
on Gillett School Bend and also Wilson Avenue. Below Wilson
But
Avenue.
they're not doing
Yeah, and I've got all look back for it.
I wonder why they're not on there.
I don't know.
strange, isn't it?
This page is the Ken Arlo show. Stefan needs his own.
Yeah, have two separate lists.
Well, the most wonderful thing is Ken's away and you've removed 3 off the bottom of the list.
You go away more often.
And we've already spoken about 9 to 11 Bell Street, so we'll see what happens there in the fullness of time. Okay, so let's move on to the last item on this agenda then, which is item 15, progress report for this committee. Okay, traffic scheme to Marlow Road.
Ah, right, well, I will be bringing a paper to full council, or sorry, Cathwell, for the Marlow Road scheme. It has progressed. We have got detailed information coming. So that is for the Swiss Farm crossing, which we're talking about. So we've made great progress. The thing that held it up, which I've explained for very briefly, was that there in the Vale of the White Horse, there were 5 road officers dealing with this stuff, and in the south there were only 2 because they couldn't actually appoint anyone suitable. We've now got a 3rd one, so we're still 2 down, but we've got a 3rd one that's picked up this project and rammed it forward, so it's good news.
Great. Okay, next one, traffic and pedestrian surveys. Councillor Gavsher.
I can speak on that.
Okay, yeah.
So I had a meeting with John Beale from OCC a couple of weeks ago, and OCC have gone through the places that we had the surveys and said what sort of crossing, if any, would be suitable in those locations. So I need to bring a report back to committee on that in the new
Okay.
year.
Thank you. Article 4, direction, design guide and local plan.
There's no update on
No
that. It's
update on
with
those.
the SODC because they're looking at it as part of the
Mm.
rec account.
Yeah. And lawful development and dormer windows.
Interesting.
We did get a reply with that, what did you think of the,
Riveting.
it was,
Quite clear,
Pretty straightforward.
separation of concerns.
yeah. Indeed. And the next one is N5D applications. Now, I don't know about you, but I found it extremely difficult to read. What did you think? I think I need it breaking down for me. What did you think, Kath?
Well, Caitlin's from SOGC. It's just a change of use with a certain sort of, there's a certain use class.
But we were specifically asking about conservation areas. We didn't want a generic, this is what SODC does. We wanted this is how it applies to Henley conservation areas. This is what we were asking for.
I didn't think we'd asked for that.
Oh,
Is it relevant? Also, I was gonna say, is it relevant? Isn't it just still the same?
well, this is what we didn't understand was because I thought because of our conservation area, we had an extra layer of protection. And I think instead of them just kind of sending like a table to us, if they could just give us a bit more hand holding, I think is what I'm asking for.
So how does that apply to, so how do you handle change of use applications within a conservation area?
Because I mean, I just thought I mean, I'm so sad that I actually do listen to what is going on in the government. And as far as we haven't even had a ministerial statement on this change. You know, I do know about the change of use, you know, that we can't do much about it now, but the conservation area, at least to residential, that gives us an extra layer of protection.
Your MP no,
Mm.
your MP no.
Um,
Is he up there?
We could go back to SOGC.
I think we should, yeah, let's just go back and just ask for
You could wait 2 weeks of your life after, yeah.
He's not gonna bring it up here.
You can meet with them on a Friday.
Yeah.
My next 2 weeks at the
They will speak, you know, about any problems that parishes have,
Christmas coming up.
because, yeah, because
Councillor Hilliard's got an
Well,
interesting update. for
one of,
us.
because one of my parishes had got problems and they wanted to speak to the planning officer.
Yeah,
And they do these regular on Friday morning, I think it's every other
like a
Friday.
surgery.
Yeah, a councillor, you know, parish surgery to speak to the planners. So it's worth contacting Adrian Duffield about it, because he sent me a reply back saying that whilst they couldn't meet him face to face, they would meet my parish online, sort of thing, to discuss the planning concerns.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
So it's worth booking
Mm,
an online talk with them.
okay.
Yeah.
Thanks for that.
Let us know how you get on with that.
Uh,
Eagerly away.
Well, I just think we're going to see a lot more of these coming through. So I think we really need to understand it's a planning committee.
Yeah.
Okay, right. Well, this is the last meeting of the calendar year for the council. So, you know, I wish all of you were here so that I could say thank you for being such fantastic councillors, and thank you so much for your contributions, dedication, and hard work.
Thank you.